Hi friends and fellow flute enthusiasts. In this episode of Johnny's Flute Reviews, we're going to be looking at a flute made by Brad Young. The flute that I hold in my hands is called a Mayan Harmony Drone flute. It goes by a couple of other names, but it does the same thing. This flute is made from sassafras, and you can see it's unique in that part of it looks like part of it is missing, but that is completely intentional. The larger flute or longer flute here is in the key of D minor, and the smaller flute here, or the shorter one, is in the key of A minor. And these are fifths apart, so when played together, they harmonize very, very well together. Now, the unique thing about this is the thumb holes, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but I want to explain what these three on top are. So this has two mouthpieces, or two mouth holes here, two sound holes, so you can play them independently. I can play the D side, or I can play the A side as single flutes, and much of the time when I perform with this flute, I'll play one then the other and then bring them in together. So here we have these three holes. Now this is the same tuning as the minor pentatonic scale, the basic scale that we've all come to know as the basic scale of the modern Native American style flute. So these three are exactly the same as a D minor flute, regular pentatonic minor flute. Now, where the unique factor comes in is with this thumb hole. So you have to make sure you have this closed when you're playing, otherwise you get a weird squeak. So make sure that's covered up. And by opening it, once you have exhausted these and open these three holes, by opening that one, what that is the same note, like if this had, pretend this had three holes here. So I have a regular minor pentatonic flute. It's the same as lifting that third hole from the top, lifting that one and closing that fourth. So it's one of those cross fingerings that appear in the diatonic scale, the gypsy scale, and mode 4 scale. So all of that is achieved by just lifting off the thumb. And I know for some of you, lifting the thumb away from the flute, we rely upon that for support and for holding the flute. So it can be a little cumbersome at first to get used to removing your thumbs. Best advice is don't remove both thumbs at the same time. I've done that and have nearly dropped the flute. So be mindful of what you're playing and also how you're holding and supporting the flute when you do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the D side first, and then I'll switch over and play the A side. Then I'm going to bring them together. So here we go. Now, to play them together, this is really where the beautiful harmonies come out and come together. So one feature about this, this is a rather large block or totem for the flute, and you may want something that's a little more streamlined. It does add some weight to the flute, and also can make it a little cumbersome getting it in and out of flute bags. I've grown accustomed to it. I will probably ask Brad for a replacement block, something a little more low profile, just for making travel a little easier. Now, Brad also makes these in other combinations of keys, so I've seen them smaller, I've seen them larger. As a matter of fact, I have one that's much larger, and maybe I'll do another flute review on that one. It's a little bit different in that it's a fourth and not a fifth harmony. So the way you play it is just a little bit different. You have more notes that kind of are a little close together, so we have to be a little more mindful about what you play. The fifth harmonies apart is very, very fluid, very complementary, and very harmonious together. So if you're looking for a Mayan harmony flute, I would definitely recommend getting one that is a fifth apart, like a D and an A, or an E and a B, if you're looking for something a little smaller. So keep in mind, Brad Young for Winds Flutes. He is based out of Florida. So if you see him, tell him I said hi. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of Jonny's Flute Reviews, where we uncover a flute from my collection. Make sure you subscribe because we're doing a lot of these videos, and appreciate you staying tuned. See you next time.